This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Welcome to the Warner Brothas Podcast. My name is Keenan, joined by my brother Kyle, over in person. Glad we could get another one in before you do leave after a
few hours here.
But we have time for it. NFL Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday. We had it all this weekend. It was a fun slate. We got predictions in, and as the NFL always does, it never goes as you predict because it's the NFL. But how you doing?
I'm great. Yeah. We had this is a different week of football where Sunday looked like it could have been weaker than Thursday and Friday because of how it played out. So we don't usually get that good of a slate for our Thursday night game. Friday, obviously, the Black Friday game, it's been hit and miss. We've only had, I think this was our third, right?
Yeah.
So Sunday looked a little weak, and then the 1 o'clock window, weirdly enough, delivered. And then the 4 o'clock window was awful. And then the primetime game was kind of boring, but it's still obviously entertaining. We almost got a tie. We got an overtime game. Came down to the last snap. So overall, it was a good game.
Traylon Burks when Odell Beckham with
Yes. Yeah, we got an incredible catch.
Yeah.
And then Monday night, our Pats took care of business against an
Timmy's
NFC
Giants.
rival. So
shout out Timmy, shout out Brandon. You'll be seeing for sure be seeing Timmy sometime here very soon. Brandon, we're very hopeful that we see Brandon sometime soon. He might still be upset that Lane Kiffin's not coaching Florida, so he's taking some time off. So as we're as excited as can be, we've been talking a lot about the Patriots lately, just us being here, reminiscing on the old times. We watched 2010 throwbacks. We watching a lot of New England Patriots stuff, old and new. The Patriots did take care of business against Timmy's Giants, 33-15. Game that was over at halftime, 30-7. Really over after the first quarter. I was 17-0. What were your thoughts on yesterday's Patriots game, and how confident are you in the Patriots moving forward?
Last night's game was cool. I expected a little. I actually picked the Giants to win this game.
You did.
That was more dependent on Jameis. I think if Jameis plays that game, this sounds insane because he's their backup quarterback, right?
Yeah.
But I think if Jameis plays that game last night, he puts more pressure on our defense, which our defense has looked susceptible, as we saw against Cincinnati last week, right? Our defense does have some holes. Our defense is gettable. Our defense is sound, though. I mean, you mentioned it last night. We were flying around. We're hitting hard, as you saw. That game was over pretty early last night. The Giants do compete. So I do like the fact that once I said in the group chat, once we got up 10-0, Tim said it was over. And I said, hey, if we get up 17, it's over.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I used to feel in the Brady Belichick days. It used to be really 14 was the cutoff against.
It was really against 3-0 at certain points.
Against 98% of teams, if we were up 10-14, I honestly thought it would be hard for teams to compete with us.
Yeah.
Last night, I was like, if we get up 17, it's probably over. And you know what? Actually, the Giants had a chance to make it close at the end. It didn't happen. I really like this team. I think they're fundamentally sound. I will give the rest of my thoughts, though, tomorrow.
Yeah.
When we do these NFL tiers. We're actually going to do part 1 of my NFL tiers at the end of this pod. And then, needless to say, the Pats will be in part 2, So,
yes.
I like this team. I love Vrabel. I don't want to sound like I'm just repeating everything I've said since preseason, but I expect this to be a 7-8-9 win team. Maybe get into the playoffs if things were good.
Yep.
If at the absolute best, right, with injuries, maybe we compete for the division. Maybe, right? It wasn't out of the realm if we got to 10 wins, and then maybe Josh Allen misses a game or two here, and then maybe we can compete for it. Never would I have ever imagined, Keenan, that we would have complete control over the division. And
the 1 seed, pretty much.
And it looks like we would get the 1 seed. You would favor us, given our schedule, to have the 1 seed right now over the Broncos and over whoever else. So never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined this season for us to be coming out of week 13 with 2 losses. And again, whatever this team is going to be 3 years from now, I think next year was going to be the year where we could kind of like all put our chips in. It's accelerated since then. It'll be interesting. Again, we can talk more about it, but let's say everything holds firm. we're going to be a 1 seed next year. Like, we have to improve our team, right? If we're going to have a first place schedule next year, I don't necessarily think next year's team would be a 13-win team.
No.
Obviously, we have no idea what's going to happen between now and next August, September. But for us to have the second most cap room, the draft is the draft. If you draft well, I mean, you're already setting your team up no matter what team you are. You could be the worst team in the league. And if you kill a draft, you're kind of back in it. So if the Pats draft well and really load up like we were already going to do, Keenan, on top of, let's say, a 13-win season, who knows? Who knows? We might just be back at it. And, if you're asking most Pats fans, they think we're going to be back at it this year. They think come January, which is now next month, and we're officially in December now, they think it's going to be just like old times. And I tell you, Vrabel definitely, I thought this when he was the coach of Tennessee. I thought he was Belichick light then. He definitely reminds me of Belichick. As far as just game management, fundamentally sound. We don't beat ourselves other than that Pittsburgh game, right? I love what I see. They carry themselves wise beyond their years, and especially Drake.
They do. And I
didn't even mention Drake until just my last word of that, right?
They do carry themselves like a veteran team, and that's because you have a veteran coaching staff led by Mike Vrabel, and then you can't forget that Josh McDaniels was there through all the second run of the New England Patriots going to the Super Bowl, going to the AFC Championship game. So though we have players who don't have much experience on certain portions of the ball, offensively and defensively, we are going to have coaching that has much experience when we get to the playoffs. So in these situations, we're going to have the coaching edge over a lot of rosters and even teams that have been there and done that. Like, I get Sean McDermott's a really good coach. I take Vrabel over McDermott. If you want to say whatever, we can have. It's not going to be a coaching mismatch when you're getting into any of these games because of the way Mike Vrabel is, and Josh McDaniels has been in every single offensive play calling situation imaginable, because obviously Brady and Belichick were in every situation imaginable. But I love the way this team is looking. This team, they're not my tiers, so I can say kind of what I think. I'm excited to see what Kyle has tomorrow. He's been teasing him throughout the house. Keenan, I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm actually going to hold off till tomorrow. So
I'm very much looking.
So he's been teasing his tiers, but I think that this team right now easily can compete for a championship, because why can't they?
Why not, right?
Why can't they? It's not there's Mahomes not in the playoffs. Well, there's Josh Allen. Okay, we've beat Josh Allen. This is a division matchup. It's going to be difficult. Don't get me wrong. It's difficult. But that Bills team does have some holes, as every team does have some holes. The Ravens Lamar's playing the worst stretch of football he has ever played. Joe Burrow has 4 wins. So, like, when you're talking quarterbacks, you're in that situation. Then you talk Aaron Rodgers. He had broken hand. You talking Justin Herbert, broken hand. So, like, you have all of these teams here, and yes, you might see the Denver Broncos and their hellacious defense, or the Houston Texans, their hellacious defense. Do you really have faith in Jacksonville that they're going to do something? Daniel Jones has a fractured leg. Like, I'm telling you, this is going into the season. Of course, we all thought that the big 4 of quarterbacks, at least 3 of them, I know people were a little up and down on the Bengals, but at least 3 of them were going to be firmly in the playoffs. We might only get 2 in the playoffs. Most likely, we're only going to get really maybe 2, 3 possibly. I love it. And then next year we have multiple picks that we can flip. We have more cap space. We have the ability to go trade for someone to draft pieces. So yeah, I love the way that this team's looking, and I was with Kyle, but I thought that this team was going to be able to make the playoffs this year, maybe get a playoff game, and then next year be able to propel with the more money. Plus, you get this. There's no reason why we can't wake up on February 8th. I wake up and I'm going through my Patriot routine of watching every single Super Bowl that the Patriots have played in highlights in full, and then we just do that for a 10th time. Can't wait. Or sorry, a 12th time in full, because I can talk about 96 and 85, but that's not the
that's a wild Super Bowl day routine.
It is a weird routine that I had, but it was every year I get to relive the Patriots' glory days, and I live the lows too. I watch the David Tyree every year. I watch the Mario Manningham every year.
So you do this even when the Pats aren't playing the Super Bowl?
No. So every time the Pats are playing in the Super Bowl, to prep for their Super Bowl, I would watch highlights of from 2001. I did not watch 96 and 85. I apologize to Patriots fans out there. But from the first Brady one, I would watch the long highlights of 01, 03, 04, 7, 12, 15, 14, 16, 17, 18. It just continues to go on. It's a long day. I need the day off. It's just a lot. It's a lot to take in when you have so much content to watch. You have 3 hours of content to prepare. Can't wait to start this routine again here in about a month and a half.
I'm not gonna lie. You mentioned like we watched 2010. We watched like the shouts to NFL Throwback. I've given them multiple shout outs on this podcast, but they are such a great YouTube channel to like. They post full highlights of old school games, like classics, but also random games you might have forgot about. And then the lists that they do and the countdowns that they do are a perfect encapsulation of whatever they're doing, whether it's 90s football, 80s football, 2010s football, games earlier this decade. It's perfect for a football fan. So shouts to them. I can't say enough like how in-depth that channel goes. Now, we're watching, I think it was Patriots Broncos 2015 AFC Championship. I was getting secondhand anxiety like I was watching the game again, like live. I wouldn't care if the Patriots lost in the first round because I'm not ready for that anxiety yet. I could take one more year. I mean, we'll get at least a bye game and maybe the divisional round, but man, championship round and Super Bowl anxiety.
It's a different level.
It's not fun. Any football fan you talk to, I mean, I'm assuming if you're watching this podcast, you have a team. But if you, for some reason, don't have a team and you love the NFL and you still get that nervousness. When I'm watching friggin' Bills-Ravens last year with no real rooting interest other than maybe a team I bet on, but in general, I like both of those teams. I'm nervous as hell watching this shit. Like, I'm nervous as hell watching just any neutral team that's not my team.
Yeah.
And I know what it's like to have your team in those do-or-die situations. It's 3rd and 12. It's nuts. Like, we sound nuts just talking about this, but if you're a football fan, you know exactly what it feels like.
It's 4th and 10. You're down 20-12, and Tom Brady throws a 40-yard dot to Gronk, or 4th and 10 at the goal line. Oh my goodness.
I'll say this, Keenan, we didn't really get to talk about it, and I've been thinking about this a lot. Because I actually, and I don't really have to go back to this, but I will say the first night of the NFL football season, I was watching actually women's tennis at the U.S. Open. It was the semifinal. And I hadn't really watched tennis like that in a long time. And I'd forgotten, like, oh, this is why it's such a fun sport to watch. It's got elements of baseball, basketball, even golf because it's singular, it's individual. But it's got baseball and basketball elements. Basketball with the shot making and baseball with the anticipation. And I guess the NFL's kind of got that with pre-snap, but more so baseball where you got the anticipation before you actually play, right?
Yeah.
Then I watched, really, this was the first time in depth I watched the World Series in years.
I watched this. I watched last year's a little bit. We talked about it on the pod, actually. We watched the inning that the Yankees just completely fell apart. We were potting as it was going on. But this year I was locked in.
Yeah, no, it was a great series. It was a fun series. Both teams were likable.
Yeah.
And it felt like the sport I grew up on, which is why I've had such a hard time the past decade probably watching baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it reminded me, I'm like, man, there's nothing like postseason baseball when you've got a good game.
Yeah.
When you've got, all that tension between the at-bats. Like, there's really nothing like playoff baseball. But there's nothing like playoff football, and there's nothing like playoff basketball.
Nope.
And they're different, and they're different sorts of anxiety. Basketball's probably the least anxious because it's so bang-bang. Mm-hmm. And you kind of get your answer as you're playing. Like, you get it immediately. Mm-hmm. Whether you're making shots, whether you're missing shots, turnovers, whatever.
Yeah.
Football and baseball, there's so much anticipation. Which do you think is more nerve-wracking? Because I think it's kind of baseball. Baseball's a little more nerve-wracking. But, man, the NFL, like I said, I was getting secondhand anxiety just watching an outcome I already knew happened.
I think obviously, right now, I don't have a rooting interest in baseball. I was betting on every game, so I was hopeful that the Dodgers are going to win because the bets usually that I had were Dodgers base, especially if Yamamoto was on the mound. But Game 7, Game 3, on the edge of your seat every play because every pitch could change something, and obviously in the NFL every play could change something. But on a final drive, 1st and 10 doesn't feel like the end all be all, if that makes sense. Like a fourth down, like if you're playing
when you pick up a 1st and 10,
like I'm saying, like if you go into a drive, like I'm just gonna give a random scenario. It's a $1:50 left. You have 2 timeouts. It's Patrick Mahomes has the ball, and it's 1st and 10. He has the ball at the 20-yard line. He needs to go drive 80 yards for a touchdown. That first play doesn't feel like the end of the world, but when it gets to 3rd down or 4th down, that's really when the anticipation really grows. For baseball, for me, it's every pitch when it gets to like late in game, because it could change. Like, I don't know, but I think I would lean baseball as in like build more anticipation or get me on the edge of my seat, makes me a little more nervous than football.
You know what I think the difference is?
What?
The situation you just described, like you get a quarterback in the 2-minute drill, in an important playoff game. I kind of feel like with the NBA, how I feel like when it's the 4th quarter and it's like 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left, and you got stars going at it, and you're like, okay, we're gonna find out one way or another. We're gonna find out who these players are and what they're about. Even in a loss, you can find out who's a dog, right? You find out very quickly, even on the winning side, who really wants it, who doesn't really want it. You find that out in football in those 2-minute situations. If the quarterback's got it, if whoever's got it, mostly a quarterback there, but in baseball, the difference between that, it don't matter. You could have the best hitter in the league up at bat in the 9th inning, top of the 9th, bottom of the 8th, and there's times you're just like, man, I don't know how it's gonna go for him, and he could have a average game, and depending on the matchup, depending on just how the game's going, you just might not have the confidence in that hitter or, in your best player, the way that doesn't exist in the NFL and the NBA.
Because I would agree with that. And it's because obviously 67%, you complete that as a quarterback, you're a Hall of Fame. Like, obviously, just like baseline, there's so much more to it. Basketball, really shooting 50%. It's 30% of like, if you can do something at a 30% clip in baseball, you're a Hall of Famer, right, which means that 7 times out of the 10, you're not completing that. So it's already more likely that he's not going to do it. So it's just, you sit on the edge of your seat. And obviously when you have someone like Steph, great shooter, obviously, but he can get to the basket, he can get to a foul line, he can make multiple plays in many different ways. In baseball, I'm sitting there, I've just got to hit the ball. I got to hit it somewhere. And obviously you can hit it opposite. Like, there's so much nuance to where you're hitting and blah, blah, blah. But really it just comes down to, I have to hit this ball that's coming 100 miles an hour or 98. And then the next pitch is an 84 mile an hour slider that's nasty. And then it's a curveball. And
a lot of nuance.
So there's just so much, but it really just boils down to, I've got to hit the ball that is going to do one of 6 different things at probably an elite level, because at that point you're going to have your most elite pitcher on the mound, or try to. So I would say baseball in that, because there's so much uncertainty. In football, there's more certainty. In basketball, there's more certainty, even though obviously you don't know what's going to happen.
And there was times I felt the same about a pitcher watching the World Series, where sometimes maybe it's 1 on, 1 out, and you're like, okay, advantage pitcher. Yeah. And then just that quick, if it's 2-1, runners in scoring position, 2-1 count, then you're like, I don't know. I don't know.
Kershaw came in the bottom 12 with bases juiced, 2 outs. They said, hey, we need 1. And we were like, if he literally does one of the greatest baseball moments for like an individual, like just to get an old guy coming in, hey, his last moment's at bottom 12. Like, that's crazy.
And he's a pitcher with rough
demons.
Demons.
With
demons. Incredible regular season pitcher. Not so much in the postseason.
100%.
No, you know what? I was getting not nervous, but like anxious watching this. Like when it would be these high leverage moments in the MLB. So I do think if I had a full on team, that I would be like losing my shit.
If I was a Blue Jays fan, I would have thrown TVs. Like, I would have, losing a World Series like that, I actually feel for Blue Jays fans. Obviously, it's been since 93 that you guys won a World Series after going back to back. Man.
It's tough.
It's bomb that's almost out, that at the warning track, 2 people run into each other. If that just drops.
They always drop that ball. That was crazy. That's one of the most incredible catches I've ever seen.
And even, I understand Mookie turned a double play, but like, that's still a double play to end your World Series too. Like, that's just everything about that.
That's fine. That warning track played.
No, that warning track, it genuinely was. That whole series was amazing. It's one of the best series of sports I've ever seen.
For sure. It was fun. It bought me back into baseball.
Yeah.
Bought me and brought me back into baseball.
Honestly.
That was a fantastic series. If you can get the two of us, and I've heard multiple people say the same thing. There was multiple conversations I had that were like, this is great baseball. This is fun to watch. The two teams, that's the big thing about it. The two teams were likable.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to get in a full-on MLB conversation here. We got other stuff to talk about, but there was times I'd watch it, Keenan, even 5 years ago, I would turn on a baseball game and all these players, and it kind of got like this in the NBA too for a little bit. I could see it from a casual fan. Let me finish my point. I'm fucking interrupting myself. But there'd be times I'd tune into an MLB game, Keenan, and a lot of these players just look the same.
Yeah.
They'd have the same style haircut, same cheesy mustache, and it's like, all right, okay, you guys all look the same, but who's really who here?
Mm-hmm.
To me, just as a casual fan. And I could see if you're a casual fan of the NBA, where some of the younger players in particular might look a lot alike, have the same style, and it kind of all just blends together. I did not feel that way watching the baseball postseason. It seemed like there was more diversity, more personality, more individuality, and a game that's full of individuals. I don't know, it just had a different feeling than in years past when I watched.
And the thing, sorry to quickly just say this, the same way that Caitlin Clark brought a lot of people into women's basketball, I think Shohei's starting to bring a little bit of people back into baseball. Not that baseball died or anything like that, but you had your core fans who watch it, and then you didn't have casuals wanting to watch the game. But when you see a guy, 3 home runs and 10 strikeouts in the same game, you're like, wait, that's not even real. And then a guy, he got on base 9 times in an ace. What? What? That's not even real. And then you sit there and you're watching this Mookie guy's always been really good. Freddie Freeman he's had 6 straight games in the World Series with home runs. You have all of this coming in, then you're like, who are these random guys that I don't even know who are making plays? And so when you have a great player who is such a unicorn, so I want to shout out to Shohei for it. He can just you bring people into something. That's the same way Caitlin did with women's basketball. Now you're like, wait, that Paige girl's really good. Okay, that's fun. That's fun there, and then the game just grows that way. So that's fun to shout out Shohei, because that honestly is part of the reason a lot of people were watching, just to see how great he could be, and then they found everybody else.
Last thing I'll say about the MLB, about the Dodgers too, they basically took what the Yankees used to be, which was we'll just throw all our money around, get whoever we need, be the flashiest team, be the most star-studded team. And the Yankees were reviled for it. No one liked the Yankees but Yankees fans. Or if you're a casual fan, maybe you like the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the case with the Dodgers. I know I could see the MLB hate for the Dodgers, but it didn't seem as visceral as for the Yankees. Now, maybe that changes the fact that they went back to back. Maybe they will be the evil empire now. It does not seem the same as the Yankees. And I could be wrong. This is just a snapshot of the World Series. What's funny is the Yankees could be that still. They make an ungodly amount of money, and they are a cheap, biggest market, biggest market you could possibly have in the MLB, and they're one of the cheaper franchises, and possibly heading towards a MLB lockout is the crazy thing coming off the success. So very interested to see this moving forward. Let me bring it back though, because I did want to get back to the NFL. I'm glad we had this MLB conversation.
I am too. Shout out. We don't really have many of those, so
it's been a topic on my mind though. After watching the MLB and just thinking about the postseasons, they all just wreak a different anxiety. And I think I agree with you. I do think the MLB is where I would stand on being the highest level of anxiety. Then maybe NFL, then NBA. But it's just funny how different they are.
Yeah.
And they're I don't know, they're beautiful in their own way in the postseason, because, man, you find out who's who. But to talk about the NFL postseason, Keenan, through 13 weeks, we're heading into week 14. I feel like we say this every year, but it seems like this is deeper. This seems like deeper in the season than what we'd normally say. The only season I could compare this to is maybe two seasons ago, where Lamar and the Ravens started to get some steam as the AFC favorite as the year went on, and then the Niners as the year went on in the NFC. But it doesn't seem like we have a bona fide favorite in each conference. It seems as wide open as possible. Depending on who actually gets in and who doesn't, it seems like could vary who people are picking for the Super Bowl. across all platforms, across just fans, right? I feel like there's teams that are not necessarily in the playoff picture right now that I would feel better about than the teams that are in the playoff picture. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm the same way. And the thing about it that's different with this year than there's a lot of years is usually there is a consistency, and it's been the elite quarterbacks, and usually they're always playing elite, and you're like, okay, well, when push comes to shove, we're expecting that most likely one of these elite guys will be in the Final Four. Mm-hmm. And so that's where, though you're like, I don't know which team it could be, one of the 4 guys or 5 guys that are elite typically could be in the Final Four. That's how it goes. Mm-hmm. In the AFC, say the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, be the first AFC championship game since 2010 that hasn't had Brady or Mahomes. That's insane. Yeah. Like so we're going to have a completely new 2 people in the championship game, like going ahead, because Mahomes or Brady will not be there since 2010, which is insane to think about when the Jets were there. But so at this point, you just don't know. And then even in the NFC, Eagles don't look great. Obviously, they haven't been there every single year, but they've been in this like last 3-4 years. They've been one of the best teams in the league over that period of time. Mm-hmm. But you have a Rams team that's gotten to a Super Bowl and won, but they haven't been they've been kind of a little spurt. The Seahawks team is new. What if Dallas goes there? The Lions we don't know about. This Packers team could get there. So there's a lot of differences.
Go back to the Rams. What were you saying?
I'm saying like they've been like a 3-4 year team about 2 as well. So obviously they've had their iterations. Like in 2018 they got there, and then they kind of went down a little bit. Then they got Stafford, and then they got Super Bowl.
I actually feel like they've been one of the more consistent.
So they've been more. McVay makes them consistent, and so like they've been consistent. I meant more so the iteration of Matt Stafford in that's been like a 4-year kind of runish, because I think that was when they got to Super Bowls,
which is normal.
No, that's what I'm saying. Very normal, but there's like in the NFC, there's still a lot of change that could be had, because you may have a Bears team that's there. You could, Seahawks team with Sam Darnold, like that's just different. And so the NFC is just you're just unsure, and then the AFC could just be completely different than it's ever been. It feels like over the last 20 years on the way it's gone, 15.
I think that's the biggest thing is Burrow got injured early on, so we kind of knew going in Spangle season's probably all for naught. Mm-hmm. The fact that we're this far in and there's so much uncertainty around the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs in particular, I think that changes things. The NFC, by and large, actually, it's kind of going how we thought it would. Mm-hmm. Depending on how you thought about the Seahawks, but I think a lot of this podcast,
if you would switch the Seahawks with the Lions preseason, pretty much a lot, and then the Bears,
but really not
too.
Though, because we actually all of us had the Lions around, I think, 10-7.
I think I'm 11-6, second in the division. I think the 6 or 7 seed. Mm-hmm. So we all had them pretty much fighting for the playoffs. We all had the Packers leading the division. The Bears have been the team that's been shocking a little bit more. We all thought they could be competitive, but not the best team in the NFC.
I think it's the fact of like the question marks change seemingly every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think there was times I felt way more confident in the Lions this year than I do right now. And I feel that way with various other teams. That's why I cannot wait to get to these tiers, because it encapsulates how I feel about these teams right now. And you'll see. I actually, unless you have any more to say about this postseason picture, let's transition to basketball, then come back to the tiers, because I want to end with the tiers. That way we're kind of ending on a cliffhanger.
So we've talked about postseason football. We talked about postseason baseball randomly. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's nothing like NBA playoff basketball. And so right now it just feels as if in this portion of the league, the Thunder are the team, and so this is going to be outside of the Thunder, because I think if you had to bet right now, you would probably say the Thunder are winning it all. Or you would say they're going to be one of the final 4 teams at least.
I think for sure. Yeah, they for sure.
They're going to be in the conference finals, and then they might get bested.
And it would be the smartest bet to bet them for the finals.
Yeah, honestly, 70 wins and winning the finals might be like, if you want a long shot, like they could easily get to that. So I wrote down quickly, and I was doing some quick thinking before, teams who are in my NBA championship bubble outside of the Thunder. So I took them out because obviously they're in the bubble, clearly. Okay. I'm going to go with the Eastern Conference first. I have 4 teams that I feel like are in the bubble, and then 1 team on the bubble of the bubble, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So basically, I think in the Eastern Conference, the person who's going to be in the finals will either be, as of this moment in time, would be the Knicks, the Pistons, the Cavs, or the Magic. That's what I feel like the championship bubble is. And then the bubble of the bubble is Milwaukee, and it's just the Giannis factor because he's so good, but Milwaukee's up. And then there are teams that are good, like the Raptors, the Heat, the Hawks, maybe the Sixers, depending on what they could do. I just think it'd be difficult for me to think right now that either four of those teams are going to go on a month and a half stretch of where they can win 3 series to get to a finals. I think they could get to a second round, maybe even a conference finals, but I couldn't imagine them in the finals. But the Knicks, Pistons, Cavs, and Magic are the 4 teams right now that I could see in the conference finals. I also should add Boston to good because Boston's a solid team. Okay. But yeah, that's what do you think?
Few things.
Yep.
It feels like at this point it's December 2nd.
Yeah.
It feels like we're very far, not very far. It feels like we're a good amount into the NBA season, but we're really not.
No.
We're still only 20 games in?
They're about 25% of the way through the season. So like obviously so much can change, and that's why as of right now.
My thing is, so trade season really starts on December 15th.
Yep.
So these rosters will look different.
Yes.
And it's still, again, this is still a low sample size, but you can start to put together like, all right, the players who are shooting well, like Con Knipple right now, you can kind of project that to be the rest of his season. He'll hit a slump, but the way Shea's scoring the ball right now, you can project
Luka,
that in the future. Luka, Austin Reeves, maybe like Austin Reeves, that seems like a low sample size, but you kind of have to take it seriously, even though it's at a much higher clip than what he's played at the rest of his career. Denny too. Denny's playing amazing ball.
Denny's playing phenomenal.
So we're still at that season to where you can say like, all right, is this real or is this just a hot start? But in about 2 weeks and about 3 weeks, once we get closer to Christmas, then you can really start taking this stuff real. After the NBA Cup, to me, Keenan, since we've introduced the NBA Cup, it seems like the season starts off hot. The season has a real energy to it.
Yep.
This season in particular has like a more, I want to say old school, but it's got a more traditional NBA season feel. It seems like after the NBA Cup into January, into the break, there becomes a drop off.
Yeah. Which is okay because that's when NFL playoffs are going on. So like, if there's a time that just drop off in January.
But I mean like a drop off in energy between the teams and the players. You get more load management. I don't want that. I want my January. I want it to pick up because we see a lot of load management already. Though I do think this is a very fun season and it has a lot of potential. And knock on wood, Keenan, no injuries yet. No serious injuries yet.
Obviously, players like Wemby have missed time, but a calf strain. He and the Spurs have been staying more than afloat without Wemby. They're 5-2 without him right now. So like this won't hinder postseason Wemby, hopefully. So like we still can get things like that.
So you want to talk about a tease? You want to talk about 3 weeks from now, around Christmas time, I'll be doing my tiers. So I'll be doing an iteration of this. So I feel like we're doing mini tiers right now. So if I'm reacting to the Eastern Conference, I would say I'm a little higher on the Bucks than everybody. I think the Bucks were a contender going into the season. And I still believe that to be true, even though they just lost to the Wizards last night. We had a lot of weird results last night. But I really do like this team with Giannis at the helm, with the amount of shooters and space he has, the level he's playing at. I like the Bucks. I like how you got it tiered. Magic, Keenan, to me, they're not playing as high of a level defensively as I thought.
Yes, I agree.
But again, it's hard to tell because it's your first month and a half of basketball.
And your first time with adding a major piece in Desmond Bane to the roster. So
and he's been balling out.
Yeah.
And then you've had Paolo in and out of the lineup.
Yep.
Franz is playing well. So I think the only change I would make to that, Keenan, is you said Knicks, Cavs.
Pistons and Magic.
Pistons and Magic
are in the bubble, and then like on the bubble, like if there's a small little bubble on the side, there's a Bucks.
I think if I would change it, it would be those top 3, and then have the Magic and the Bucks on the bubble, and then me personally more confident in the Bucks than the Magic at this time.
Okay, that's fair. I think the Magic were the 4th team I had written down. So like they're the team there. I was kind of in the. I feel, but I think with the way the Eastern Conference is, I think that they could easily compete and they have the talent to really get there.
You give me Bucks and Magic in a 7-game series. I think that goes 7. And I would kind of give the Bucks the edge, but the Magic would have more ability to match up with Giannis and give him not problems because he's going to get his goddamn 34 and 17 regardless because that's the type of shit he would average in those series. I feel like he could play 45 minutes and not really be bothered by it for a whole series. They would be able to like just throw little bodies at him, get physical with him, and affect him in a way that would affect the other players too.
He's only shooting 52% instead of 62%. Like,
right?
That's the effect what you have to have with Giannis. Because outside of that, you're not doing anything with him.
Like I really think, and I thought this last year, Keenan, I truly believe if the Bucks get by the Pacers in that first round and they for some reason face the Knicks at some point in the playoffs, I think I would have liked the Bucks better. I don't see any matchup they would have had for Giannis last year because they would have got Towns in foul trouble. And then it's Mitch after that, who can hardly stay healthy.
Right.
So I really would have liked the Bucks in that matchup, and I kind of still look at it that way. I feel like if there's the Magic in particular would be an extremely tough matchup for the Bucks. Mm-hmm. Cavs would be a tough matchup for the Bucks, who the Bucks play well, by the way. The Knicks, they do have more big man depth now.
He can, but he could, like, especially last year, he could have averaged 40 and 20. Like, it felt like he could have just dominated that series. But then a team like the Cavs, who had Allen and Mobley,
they've got options.
They have players that they could make it more difficult for Giannis. So you would favor a Cavs team in that series.
And let me be clear, the Knicks
last year.
The Knicks have options, but man, I really do think it's a close matchup for the Bucks. Yeah. Especially if you narrow it down, and this ain't how you play ball, but if you narrow it down to like Jalen Brunson in this series versus Giannis. I know Jalen has big time moments, but I feel like the Bucks could give Jalen more problems than what the Knicks could give Giannis more problems. And then in the Magic series, it would be tough. I feel like the Magic have a little more options to go to if need be, and they're a bit tougher. I really love their makeup, but they got to put it together because their defense was horrible to start the season.
Yeah. All right, and so we'll move to the Western Conference. We didn't have too much differences there. In the West, so obviously this is outside of the Thunder because the Thunder are clearly...
I'll give you one for the East, though, Keenan.
Yeah.
Philly, you mentioned, like...
They're good, and I just don't... The Embiid thing always gets me.
We've got to see it all together. Like, there will be one I can confidently say by the time we get, like, past the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Especially if Embiid's healthy, and depending where they are. I love Maxey. Maxey has been one of my favorite players in the league. He continues to be. He reminds me of Damian Lillard with more athleticism, to be honest with you, and a bit more of a finishing, a layup package. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
Oh my God, I love Maxey's game.
No, between that Edgecombe, you got McCain. Like, no, that team, I like their team. That really is just the fact of I don't know Embiid. And I would think without Embiid on the floor, I don't think they could. With Embiid on the floor playing at least 25 to 30 minutes a game, I think they make things interesting.
The other team I think makes a run that we'll be talking about later in the season is Atlanta. Yeah, I really like Atlanta. They've been without Trae. They've been playing well without Trae.
They're nice.
So I'm interested to see what happens with the whole Trae.
I'll be interested to see if the Heat and the Raptors can keep this up too, of like their elevated play.
Let's talk West.
Western Conference. So the 4 teams, I have 4 teams as well in the bubble. One I was debating on the bubble of the bubble, and then I have a couple there. I have the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, and the Spurs in it. And then I have the Warriors and the Lakers on the bubble of the bubble, and then I have the Suns, Blazers, Grizzlies, and I put the Mavericks there just in case when you get Kyrie, AD back, but they're in just a good tier. Like, they could be interesting-ish later on in the season.
So when you put like the Grizzlies, those are all just playoff teams?
Those are all teams that I think can compete for the playoffs. Like, you could add a team there, but like they might be able to give like somebody a annoying round 1 and maybe upset them, but I don't think they're doing anything outside the second. Bubble of the bubble, I think, is a second round team possibly that could get to the Western Conference Finals and be competing for it if everything broke right for them, but it depends. And then the in is like this team I could see getting to the conference finals at least, if not to the finals.
Give me your for sure top teams again. Like who's the contenders?
Rockets, Nuggets, Timberwolves, and the Spurs. I think the Spurs have shown me enough with everybody out the others with a Wemby and a Castle healthy and everybody playing healthy. I think they have enough. So the Spurs were the one that were like in between the bubble of the bubble and then like them being in the championship bubble there. Just like, are they too young? But the Rockets, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves. Timberwolves have been there the last 2 years. The Nuggets, when you have Jokic, you're a contender every year. And then the Rockets, I like just the way that their makeup is. Sengun's been playing great. And then obviously KD, Jabari Smith, They've just got a lot on their roster, so those are the teams. The Lakers, I know they're playing really well right now, and they have a really good record. I just don't think they play defense well enough for 3 series. So that's why they're the bubble of the bubble. They could make it to the conference finals, and you'd be like, okay, makes sense. You've got Luka, you've got LeBron, who's been in every situation. If Austin Reeves can stay at this level, sure. And then the Warriors, when the Warriors are right, they look like they can compete with anybody, but that's just how often are you going to get the Warriors looking right and healthy? And so their age really is what kind of gets you there.
I'll talk about, all right, Lakers and Warriors. I'll start there.
Yep.
I like the Lakers more than the Warriors, which wasn't the case going into the season. I think I like the Warriors a little bit better. I love this Lakers team. They're probably one of my favorite teams to watch, especially now when you include year 23 LeBron back into the mix. Luka is playing out of his friggin' mind. Austin Reeves is playing out of his mind. They're fun. They rejuvenated Ayton, which you could kind of see coming, but Ayton's Ayton. He's not my favorite of players, but I mean he's playing well with Luka. Who would have thought, like, not far into their career, that the number 1 and number 3 pick would be playing with each other from that draft? I love the Lakers team. I think they will pose teams a lot of problems.
Yes.
It's going to be tough because LeBron's not even in rhythm right now. If he can play a month straight of basketball, and he can kind of pick his spots, because we see, I mean, they clearly planned for this. Austin Reeves has just been like grinding his entire life, his entire NBA career. But for him to get to this point where he's an all NBA player so far through 20 or 30 games, if that's going to be the case, and LeBron, by the looks right now, is actually just handing over the keys. We've heard that for 8 straight years, that he's handing over the keys to whoever the number 2 guy is. He actually is. And not only just to Luka, which would have been the case, to Luka and Reeves. So if you got LeBron playing this Draymond Green type of role, I don't know. If you can add around the fringes and get some sort of defenders, they lost Finney-Smith, obviously, which, they don't have any 3-and-D guys, really. If they can kind of get those guys somehow at the deadline, I don't know.
They need if they traded for a guy like a Herb Jones or something like that, like players of that caliber, like wing defenders who are long and can shoot, then they're moving up. I just think right now 3 series of having to play deep, especially when these teams have Kevin Durant, Sengun, have Jokic, have Anthony Edwards, and like they have enough pieces who can play high-level offensive basketball, plus they have high-level defensive possessions in them. And I just don't know how many the Lakers have. That's the one thing with them for keeping them at a true contention status for me.
Yeah. Thing I would say is I don't know how many teams will be able to shut the Lakers down, keep up with them offensively in a 7-game series. Because not only that, are they playing at not only a great pace, and that changes with LeBron, they're moving the ball extremely well. They're sharing the ball extremely well. JJ Redick's doing an extremely great job with his team over his tenure. I wasn't confident in him. I also thought it was kind of like, all right, we're going to get LeBron's podcast host. Here's the coach. And he's been fantastic.
No,
I got to give him his props. So
I really love the way LeBron has been playing so far. Of just like, guys, like I really don't care to do anything but just chill on this court. But like, it's cool because he's still, for 5 minutes of basketball, he can be one of the best players on the floor by just controlling the game and controlling tempo. So that's going to be the great thing, is you can give Luka 8 to 10 minutes of rest comfortably, because you can just say, hey, LeBron, can you just run things for us a little bit? And hey, Austin Reeves, can you just run things for a bit? So like in the playoffs, when obviously your minutes ramp up, Luka can comfortably play 38 and be okay, rather than having to play 44, which over a 2-month stretch of basketball will really wear you down. So that's why this team's interesting. I just think that they're one legitimate perimeter defender away. Like if Marcus Smart was in his prime, I would.
That's right.
I would feel more comfortable in this roster if Marcus Smart was like in his Boston Celtics defensive prime kind of thing. They just are one piece away to me from being a true contender, but they also can make a move to do that. So like it's not like that's why I asked at this moment.
And Luka is
problem.
Insane. All I want to say is, like, remember we saw Anthony Edwards throw that dunk down in Utah, and people were like, he's the best dunker in the league. He's the most exciting dunker we've had in a while. And I'm like, listen, he's an incredible dunker. But I was like, we just forgot about Ja just because he's injured. Because like Ja's been probably early on in his career, those first 3 seasons of Ja, it was like must-see TV. Allen Iverson, Blake Griffin, MJ type of shit, Kyrie type of shit, Steph Curry type of shit, just aerial stuff though, right? Yes. I kind of feel that way with Luka, where everyone's comparing SGA, and deservingly so. SGA deserves to be talked about as far as a one-on-one scorer with all the greats. He's that good.
Yes.
But no one's throwing Luka in there because Luka, you can't do anything with this guy. 6'8", handling the ball, can just put his shoulder into you once he gets to the rim, decelerates.
He's got a legitimate first step back again.
Oh my God.
And this, like, obviously his newfound weight and everything.
He had it when he was fat.
He had a first step when he was, but now it's like because I was watching highlights of like skinny Luka rookie year. I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy actually, like his step was crazy, and that gets getting back to that.
Luka had 8 plates at Thanksgiving and then went out and tortured people on Friday.
One more quick question about the NBA, real quick.
Before, I want to react to the West though, because
it's kind of with it. It's kind of coming. Okay. Do you think Luka is the second best player in the league, or do you think it's Shea, or do you think it's maybe Giannis? And you can lead this into obviously talking about it because you
can pick whoever you want. I think by default,
Shea.
You say SGA.
Yeah.
If we go by my rules, where it's SGA's got the crown, and everyone else is competing for it, that's true. But man, Jokic is probably the best individual player regardless. After that, I would lean Giannis because of his two-way stuff. But if you want to say Giannis, if you want to say Luka, if you want to say SGA, if you want to say Wemby at his best.
Those are the 5 best in the league to me, and I don't think there's like an argument really for him like outside of those 5.
Maybe Ant would be the other one.
Probably 6 for me.
But to the other teams, because I talked about the Lakers a lot. Warriors, man, they just feel like the same way they do every year. When it looks good, it looks great. When it looks bad, it looks horrendous. And I was talking to you the other day. I just hate how the second half of Steph's career has been managed.
Yeah.
Didn't have to be like this. He should be competing for a ring every year. And instead, they're primarily a second-round team year in and year out, talent-wise. To get back to your bubble, though, I would actually have the T-Wolves outside the bubble, too, with them. And it's actually nothing to do with them as much as it is, they need a point guard. They still have Conley playing heavy minutes. They don't seem to trust, what's my man's name? Dillingham.
Rob Dillingham.
He hasn't played heavy minutes for them yet. And again, the reason why I'd have them on the bubble is because of how high I feel the Rockets and the Nuggets, how high of an opinion I have of them. I think they are right now the only 2 teams that can compete with OKC. I don't necessarily think... I think Wemby can compete with OKC. I don't think the Spurs would be a threat to OKC right now, though. Do I think by the letter of the law that the Spurs are a contender? Probably. We saw Wemby take a bit of a dip after his hot start. I don't think they can get to the level that the Nuggets or the Rockets can get to. I think those are the only 2 teams that truly pose a threat in a 7-game series. And honestly, Keenan, depending on the day, it switches for me between the Nuggets and the Rockets. The Rockets are an incredible defensive team. They have so much size. And you got KD playing as a DH, essentially. I love this team. And they haven't even gone out and got their point guard yet to replace Van Vliet. They got Reed Shepherd playing at a pretty decent level right now. You essentially got Amen and KD playing point guard. And even Sengun really playing that Jokic role of point center. You got Ime there, who's a real coach. Excuse me. I love this team. And then the Nuggets, they got AG out right now.
Yep.
They've kind of taken a step back. They had a weird loss last night to the Mavericks, who can compete with anybody, but they've had a few home losses. So
they lost to a Spurs team without Wemby or Castle. Those kind of things.
Yes. So
the solid 35.
It concerns me. I think by the time we get to February, March, they'll be clicking on all cylinders, and we've already seen it with Aaron Gordon in the lineup that they're clicking on all cylinders. So a fully healthy team of the Nuggets and the Rockets, they, to me, separate from everyone else in the West if we're talking about under the Thunder. Those are the top 3. And I would have the T-Wolves and the Spurs on the bubble. I got to see a full month of Wemby with them now because I want to say he's injury prone. It's not fair to call him injury prone yet, but it's definitely been the last 2 years like, okay, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. So we'll see. And you don't want to mess with calves, and that seems to be the injury right now.
It's fair. The Rockets and the Nuggets, I think, are for sure there. I think the Timberwolves, they're a team that every year seems to not get like the national respect, and then they just happen to be in the Final Four, and you're like, okay.
But they lost pieces too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But so I wanted to give them respect there. It's weird because if I had to do it, I would probably tier it in three. I'd tier it in three ways. It would be like Nuggets, Rockets here, and probably Timberwolves, Spurs, and maybe even the Lakers here, and then like the Warriors right there, and then like so if I had to tier it within the fact of just in bubble, but I think the Spurs are going to be interesting to see how they can really play together when everybody's healthy, because we haven't seen much of, I think it's been like 2 games of Fox, Castle, and Wemby, and we haven't seen any of Fox, Wemby, Castle, and Harper. So all 4 of them plus Vassell, and they have depth. I think they could pose a problem, and they can really be matchup dependent on who they beat. I think the Rockets probably have a better chance against the Thunder than like the Spurs are not. I think probably, to be honest with you, the Rockets might have the best chance against the Thunder.
It seems that way, defensively anyway.
And it's just because they have so much to match defensively. But then, like, I think the Spurs can give the Rockets problems because of the fact that they have physical guys that are like 6'6", but they're also quick. And a lot of, obviously, the Rockets have a lot of physical guys, but they're not everybody's the most quick. Obviously, like a Men Thompson's just an absolute insane athlete and things like that. But Jabari Smith, for his size, is quick, but like he can get taken advantage of by smaller guys. So
I think the Rockets would have the physical advantage though in that series.
They would have a little bit of the physical advantage for sure, but I think you could match some of their size by going Wemby and Luke Cornett, plus having like Castle, who's 6'6", and strong, athletic Fox. So like I think. And matchups are going to matter so much in this Western Conference, as they do every single year.
I think it's going to be fun. We've talked about it. I think the Spurs, it depends on the matchup. I think in general, they're a year away and maybe even a player away. But I do think like if they matched up with the Lakers, how would the Lakers actually realistically deal with Wemby? You would get Ayton in foul trouble, and then that would be it.
And then you have Fox, too, who's going to make things just wreak havoc for Austin Reeves. Obviously, like, don't get me wrong, Luka's going to put whoever in action and just do whatever he wants to, because it's playoff Luka, who's almost better than regular season Luka somehow. We don't even know how that's a thing. But, yeah, so I think that series is a very interesting one. The Warriors, the way they played the Spurs, I think that's a really interesting series, just because you have the veteranship of the Warriors, plus you also have got the way they move the ball can be a little bit difficult for the Spurs, but the Spurs obviously have the size advantage. So I already just want the playoffs, but I want things to develop too, because I want to see how these teams really build themselves throughout the season. But
I think it's fair to say too with the Spurs, like we've never seen them play any important games.
Yeah.
I know just based off what kind of player this friggin' alien is. Between that and the Olympics, I know Wemby's going to bring it. And I've seen Fox in the playoffs. I know De'Aaron Fox is going to bring it. He's always been a dog.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we don't know how a 19-year-old Dylan Harper, a 20-year-old Stephon Castle. That's a bit different when you're going up against, we mentioned the Lakers, like those guys. They like Marcus Smart.
Yeah,
they're gonna have the physical advantage on Marcus Smart, but he's gonna have the beats of the playoffs.
The Warriors, where they have Jimmy, they have Steph, Draymond, things like that. The Nuggets, even they've been in a lot of playoff series. Players like Christian Brown have played in so many playoffs games now that like he's a veteranish kind of style guy for being a year.
That's where I worry about the Spurs, talent wise. Like, they're
fair.
I said it to you the other night. There's gonna be a time where it's like it's gonna seem like they're just lobbing it to Wemby every time on the floor, because you should be able to do that. This dude is 7'5" on a bad day. And he can move. Like, you should be able to just put him in action, pick and roll, pick and pop, and then whatever from there. Yeah. And he can pass and knows when to pass. That being said, I don't know if the rest of the supporting cast is ready for that. Houston, man, they're just some dogs. And the Nuggets, they're deep. They everything they needed to improve, they improve.
100%.
They could have kept Michael Porter Jr. Like, I see people, he's killing it in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn has nothing to play for. Yes, he's a better player than Cam Johnson, but the fact that you got Cam Johnson to do the main part of what you want MPJ to do, which is shoot, you got that on the cheap, and now you can add players like Jonas Valanciunas to play behind Nikola Jokic. You ain't got DeAndre Jordan back there. they're going to be all right.
Cam
and they're developing these young guys.
A little healthier too throughout his career, and he's to me a touch of a better defender. Like I think within the system, I think within the system, Cam Johnson does exactly what you asked Michael Porter Jr. to do, and then as you said, you get the roster flexibility. So I don't.
Yeah,
I don't like the comparison of a guy who plays on a nothing franchise. Like okay, he can go put up 30 a game. What is it going to matter if they're losing every game?
Doesn't mean a thing. We knew Porter Jr. is the better individual player.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that coming out, but
I'd been the number one pick if you didn't have a bad back out of Missouri.
Probably, right? And no, man. I mean, Jokic playing at the level he's been playing, like he literally walks into triple double. I don't really understand it.
He hit one third last night.
Jamal Murray's playing well. Aaron Gordon was playing at an all-star level before he got hurt. That's the main thing. You keep Aaron Gordon healthy, and that bench is developing, and those young guys are developing. Yeah, they're going to be right there.
Yep.
They're going to be right there. And I can't believe we're going to get a round 2 of Houston versus either one of those guys, either the Thunder or the Nuggets. I can't wait.
You want to avoid the 4 if you can as any team, which is why I think the end of the season is going to be really interesting because I think teams are going to want to say, hey, I don't want to see the Thunder until the conference finals because so maybe somebody
Thunder
else
got the 1 seed wrapped up in November.
So maybe someone can beat them. And so now at this point, I think you're going to get a lot of more meaningful games because of how good the Thunder are. Because the Thunder are going to continue to play, and even if the Thunder, we were talking about this last night, Shea could sit for like a week and a half, they'd probably go like 5-2, maybe like they'd be fine. So they're 21 mostly without J-Dub, so like they're chilling. Mm-hmm. But you're gonna not want to be a 4 seed, and you don't want to obviously be a 6 or a 7 seed. Mm-hmm. You're going to try to get the 2 or the 3 seed. So teams are going to be competing throughout the rest of the season because they really want to get to that. But speaking of getting to something, did you want to back portion of the tiers, the bottom 16?
Want to do this right now?
Yeah, let's do it real quick. Let's get the bottom portion of this tiers.
I didn't know if you had more NBA questions.
No, that was it. I have one random NFL question.
Give it to me right now.
You want to run the NFL question first? Okay.
Let's do it.
The NFL question I have is I was just...
we'll segue back.
Yes. I was just obviously doing some thinking. We were going through some Madden ratings, and I was like, okay. I was like, oh, this guy's this guy's that. And so, obviously, we landed on Myles Garrett. Clearly a 99, deserves to be a 99. Going to run away with Defensive Player of the Year this year. And it got me thinking. Over the last 25 years, let's say this century, just to make it a little easier, just because of, obviously, you got your Lawrence Taylors, Reggie Whites. Is he the most dominant pass rusher this century?
I would say it's between him,
J.J. Watt, Donald, maybe Von Miller. You have players like Strahan, Suggs. I wrote down names, DeMarcus Ware, but like these are just guys who got like a lot of Jason Taylor, Julius Peppers, Dwight Freeney, like those guys who got a lot of sacks and who do really well. But the most dominant pass rusher this century would be. It's an interesting thought because he might just be because like. When I think of dominant too, I also think of like physical freaks, and all of these guys are physical freaks in their own right. But like when you think about it, you're like Aaron Donald, like that guy should be a defensive end, but he's playing one tech and killing people. Or J.J. Watt, who's just like, what is this guy?
I think
so. I was curious to see what your thoughts were on that.
So out of the players you named, like Freeney and those guys, they would be like consistently double-digit sack seasons, right?
Yes, absolutely. These are all guys who are within the top like 20 all-time in sacks.
It seems like Jason Taylor had like a hot stretch early in his career. Like I can't really remember how his career played out. I was a kid. Strahan, from what I remember from being a kid, from being a teenager, he was probably the most dominant out of like the early 2000s group and late 90s. So I'd have to. He obviously owns the sack record for a single season. I would have to see what his other seasons look like, how many of 15 and above or this and that. Because Reggie White's stats are insane, and he played in the 90s, obviously. Yeah. So he's kind of far and away. I see you're pulling up Strahan.
Yeah, Strahan, he had, and some of this was in the 90s too, but he's had a 14, a 15, 22 and a half, 18 and a half, 11, 11 and a half. Those are all of his double digits.
So, I mean, he's right there too. So, but out of the players you named, the first ones that came up were J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald.
TJ's great, but like,
and TJ's up there too. And the other one that you mentioned that I wasn't thinking of, but like, yeah, he's up there is DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware was a dominant pass rusher for Dallas.
Von Miller, another one that had like a stretch of time where you're like, oh,
yeah.
Von Miller's one.
Von Miller seems closer to Dwight Freeney to me. But out of the two, Aaron Donald, because he's had multiple 20-sack seasons, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And that's at a defensive tackle position.
Yeah, out of the tackles. So,
and then, I mean, kind of the same with JJ, because he was in a 3-4 in Houston and still was getting 20-sack season. So, like, those two.
I've seen Aaron Donald get triple teamed. So, like, you got to be a sicko to get triple teamed from the defensive tackle position. JJ Watt, I remember Wade Phillips was calling him a Hall of Famer out of his rookie year. And he was constantly putting pressure on defenses. So, JJ Watt comes to mind. Myles Garrett, what's different with him is I think it's since week 6, Keenan, he's had a 3-sack game, a 5-sack, like multiple 3-5-sack games. I haven't seen a defensive player get this hot to where you have multiple. Yeah. Like, we're booking you for 2 sacks a week type of thing. I would say that's a difference right now with Myles Garrett.
I don't know. His last 7 weeks or 6 has been in order: 1 sack, 5, 1, 4, 3, 1.
I don't think I've ever seen a defensive player get this hot.
Golly.
I don't know if I've ever seen a defensive player get this hot.
Especially a guy who's getting this kind of attention.
Yeah. Again, shouts to Is the Hype Real podcast. They've been asking since, I think, preseason, hey, is Myles Garrett the best non-quarterback? Is he the best position player that's not a quarterback? Like, he's the most valuable position player that's not a quarterback. And at the beginning, I thought, like, yes, but you could probably make arguments, you know? And now I don't even think it's an argument. I think you could say he's the best player in the league, full stat, honestly. Like, for sure, since week 6, he is playing the highest level of football of any player, Jonathan Taylor included, Matt Stafford included, Josh Allen included. I think it's Myles Garrett right now. So, I don't want to be prisoner of the moment, but, you know, JJ Watt's up there, Aaron Donald's up there, but just for a 6-week stretch, I don't know if I've ever seen a defensive player get this hot.
And Kyle, it's not prisoner of the moment because his sack numbers goes as follows: 7 in his rookie year and only 9 games started, only 11 games in total. And then after this, and this is some seasons he didn't play all games. Like one year he had 10 sacks in 10 years, or 10 games rather. Wow. But 13.5, 10, 12, 16, 16, 14, 14, and this year 19. He has 121 sacks in his career already, and this is his 9th season in the league, and he has 121 sacks. Like, at this point, and he's built like a statue. Like, this guy is.
That's the thing. I don't see him slowing down in the next 3 years.
No, like,
why would this change?
There's no reason for this to change, and then. That's going to be a guy who, if let him play this contract out with the Browns, whatever, but 34-year-old Myles Garrett's going to be a pickup for some contender, and that's going to be a 3rd and 10 in the AFC divisional round. You're going to see Myles Garrett screaming off the edge, getting a big sack because he just is going to be that good already. Like, 200 sacks is easily available to his career with how good he is playing right now, and that's an insane thing to say because only one other person has done that, I believe.
You mentioned J.J. Watt. He played for the Cardinals at the end of his career. Yeah. He was still playing at a high level.
12.5 sacks in his last season.
He could have played 2 or 3 more years. He just decided not to. He could have absolutely been an impact player. So, I mean, depending on how, and he's another one who is just ridiculously physically gifted.
I was talking with Austin Lamore. Aaron Donald right now could call up the Rams and say, hey,
he retired in his prime.
Yeah, no,
he retired in his prime. But some of these guys who are just beyond athletic, I feel like they could play past their prime, like JJ Watt, like Myles Garrett. So, you know, I remember us talking about, and you know, NFL heads talking about the contract or Myles Garrett holding out. People were almost talking about him like he's not on the downside of his career, but given his age, you know, how many years does he have left? And I'm like, bro, like, just pay the man. It would have been cool to see him on another team. Maybe this Browns team gets it together within the next few years. We'll see. We'll see what they do with Shador, if they're going to think maybe another quarterback, whether they keep Stefanski or not. We'll see. Unreal. I've never seen a defensive player.
30 on December 29th.
Okay.
He turns 30. Like, he's still got plenty of juice left in the tank, and like
gas.
Sorry, gas in the tank. Yes. Juice in the tank with gas.
He doesn't get injured often either, is the main thing.
No.
Keenan, I was not expecting to talk as much MLB as we did. I think we talked technically more MLB than NBA in that segment.
That was more MLB than I think we've done throughout the show's totality together.
And like
that was a lot of MLB.
And
I
like
love
a full month after the World Series ended.
Yeah.
But I guess we just didn't get to talk about it when it happened. Listen, we're going to actually split this up. We're going to do the NFL tiers by itself. And then the part 2 to the tiers will be tomorrow. So you'll get these 2 episodes around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Warner Brothas Podcast. Like, subscribe, comment, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Keep doing your thing. We love the debate. We love the conversation. We'll be right back. Tune in.